Okay, recording this video after close trade Tuesday 19th February 2013. Well, really important day. I think we put in that left shoulder today, so we kind of had a big down move, a whole bunch of charts. Everything kind of joined in today. All the risk-on markets was, they have been selling off for the last couple of weeks. I think I've been telegraphing that pretty clearly, and everything kind of just joined in together today to kind of sell off. Equities has been really strong over the last 2 or 3 weeks, kind of battling that trend with the risk-off on markets kind of heading down, and today they just joined in. So I'm pretty sure we put in that left shoulder now with the strength of today's activity. But let's just roll through those risk-on charts because you can see the strength of the moves that have been just gathering steam. We've pushed through a bunch of support levels, and so everything kind of just gathered pace today. Here's Canadian dollar. Talked about this over the weekend. Those amateur up bars into resistance at parity, bang, sold down today. Silver, so I've been talking about this since December with silver and gold. Again, bang, through support on the daily chart. We're down at 28.5, broken through these support levels and so on. Gold, same thing. Been talking about this since December at 1700. Bang, now we're through 1600. Through a support level on the daily chart, well through it. Now we're into downtrend. It's just showing the strength of that kind of selling off, going down. Aussie dollar's been the strongest, as I've said, kind of going forward, but now we're in a downtrend. We had broke through our support level, came back, so support becomes resistance, turned around, bang, we're rolling over here. So we're starting the beginning of this downtrend on the Aussie dollar. Euro's been pretty strong, whether this was kind of French banks repatriating funds into Europe in order to kind of fix their balance sheet, who knows. It was kind of a little bit of a blow-off move, bearish divergence in, and then today's activity, you can see that little support level on the daily chart. We're through that, so we're starting a downtrend on the euro chart as well. And copper, we had this kind of blow-off move, exhaustion buy and bearish divergence. Haven't talked about the copper chart in a while. Crude's I'm not sure. We had a sell-off in crude today, but whether that's kind of just in an uptrend or not, I'm not convinced yet with crude. But copper, we couldn't get hit through this kind of $4 type mark. We had exhaustion buy and bearish divergence. Each time we've come up, this is like a complex correction, kind of coming up. The last time we came into it, another flush pattern, blue professional bars into resistance, couldn't get through resistance, rolled over. Yesterday, professionals sold it down, so they're selling through that retrace there, and then all of a sudden they're like, I need to get on board this move quickly. We're moving to the downside, bang. That was yesterday, and today we kind of followed it up as well. And then pound, look at the pound. I've been talking about the pound being weak. Exhaustion buy and bearish divergence kind of rolling over at the 61, 62, 63 kind of level up here. Now we're at 52s. 150 is a psychologically important level, but just let loose today. Just unbelievably big down move. So that's all the risk on charts and all the risk off. So dollar index, bang, we're through resistance here now properly. Would have been nice. I'd know this. Got to see the close of the day to get the volume kind of signal on dollar index here, but we're through resistance at this point here, breaking into an uptrend with all of those currencies kind of rolling over to the downside and really gathering pace. Dollar index will strengthen. So we're through here. That's jumping the creek. This shows the strength of that buying activity because the lows of that blue professional bar didn't get broken, kept on going up. So we're breaking into a daily uptrend on the daily chart on dollar index. What's interesting is the bonds are still, they're waiting to make their move. So we've got resistance here as a little bit of a target to kind of get through. They've been basing, basically kind of coming into this lows. We had on the weekly charts a whole bunch of blue professional bars kind of coming at these lows, looking for a break above these resistance levels on these charts. So the 30-year is daily kind of, so again, same thing, pullback to end of trend, bunch of blue professional bars here. The resistance levels isn't in on the daily chart on the 30-year, but it's not been as strong into the bonds. 5-year, same thing. This is kind of sitting here as a target to get through there to break us into an uptrend. So there we go. It's happened on the dollar index because all the other currencies are really crashing, but the bonds haven't yet kind of seen that kind of break into an uptrend. But if we get this kind of sell-off in equities kind of accelerating, that will keep on going. And then poor old Apple, just as a little, 700 was where it topped out, and it's been trying to find this end of trend, but we're through support here, pullback to end of trends, gone off. So we got weakness in Apple, pullback to end of trends, got to kind of play out here. Oops. There we go. So there's the pullback level kind of come in. It's been just bounced off. That was a gap fill here a few days ago, last week, and then we're kind of just coming down and down and down. So the poor old Apple retail holders that kind of just getting crushed. So today's activity on the Emini, 1.8 million contracts traded, big sell-off. So we had a little, it was a bit of an exhaustion pattern yesterday. At the beginning of the day, ran a whole bunch of stops. And today we just kind of ran out of steam and just crashed down. So big 20-point move or so, 1.8 million contracts traded. In terms of trends, so BetterX trends flipped over on a bunch of charts. So on the daily chart at es.d, so this is the day session only. BetterX trend has flipped over now. We've broken through there. We've been trailing this stop on the weekend. I talked about that stop kind of just getting closer and closer and closer. Well, now, bang, it's kind of gone through it. S&P 500, same deal. Today's activity has flipped through there to trail it down on the way down. NASDAQ, same deal, flipped. So it's kind of trailing this thing down again as we were getting tighter and tighter on the way up here. Dow, no, not flipped quite yet, but you can see the strength that's on. We're not far away, but you kind of look at these in conjunction as a group, and Dow, the rest have flipped, but Dow hasn't. And at ES, continuous contract day and night hasn't either. But I think this is really important up here. And a couple of days ago, the trends indicators, trend systems kind of flipped over as well, got our first sell signal. This whole little cluster of buy signals, beauty, it's kind of hard to trade those, to take those kind of as we were so late into this move, but they ended up being nice and ended up getting up to new equity highs again on trend systems. I keep on saying trend systems, haven't been touched. The code has not been touched since they were released in, I think, 2007. So it's great. So they've started to roll over, and that's kind of in the money now. It's kind of pretty oversold at the moment with today's activity because these kind of been rolling over for a while, but that's an important down day. We could easily get a little bit of a bounce from today's activity, but I think in terms of finding that left shoulder, we found it now. Okay, so 40,500 tip bar chart. Yesterday's activity took us into another resistance pattern up here at almost 1530s. Blue professional bars at the highs, exhaustion buying, and a Rambo pattern kind of overnight, bang, and there we go. That top is in. Now we're coming up to cyclical support on the 40,500 tip bar chart. We've sold off really hard. So we've had our exhaustion buying, and this exhaustion selling is showing the strength of this move. Temporarily, we could have run out of buyers at this point. I'm expecting us to put in a support level here, maybe have a little bit of a bounce, whether it's tomorrow or the next day. We could easily get some follow-through panic kind of selling tomorrow, but there'll be some bounce, in the next 48 hours. We'll put in a support level on the 40,500 tip bar chart, and then that bounce will be really important. We need to gauge the activity at that bounce. If the professionals kind of step in on that bounce and take the opportunity to get short again and then take us through a support level, bang, we're into a proper downtrend on the 40,500 tip bar chart, and that'll kind of travel. We've had a really strong story in equities, and they've been kind of going up and up and up, and there's a lot of people that are extremely bullish kind of right now. The reason why I'm saying this is a left shoulder is because everything kind of joined in together, and we've had this weakness in all these other kind of risk on markets, and strength, we've been waiting for some strength to come in on the risk off. So it's because all of those things have joined in together that this is an important point, and this is showing the strength of that, basically not panic selling, but just strength of the professional selling, kind of wanting to get out of these positions. So 1500 tip bar chart. Now, I always say, so yesterday we had this blow off move, that kind of just kept on going. I took my one shot, one kill here with this, busting of stops as we went through the 20s, and we kind of went into the high 20s overnight. I think we'd maybe just touched 1530 or got really close to it, and we had our exhaustion patterns here. And I always say, just look out for exhaustion patterns during the full liquidity of the day. The professionals want to use that full liquidity of the day to kind of get into their positions after we kind of roll over on the downside and on the upside. So we had exhaustion buying yesterday, but then this was the critical thing today. So we started to sell off from the open, and then we bounced at 25s here with blue professional bars kind of coming. On this bounce, it was a classic. Blue professional up bars here into an exhaustion pattern. So there's our exhaustion during the day. Exhausted the sellers. A Rambo pattern follows it. Amateurs up at those kind of highs, expecting a breakout, and no, they get wrong-footed. And as soon as we break through that support level here, we're into a downtrend on the way down. And this thing, it just traveled and traveled. Kind of went down into another sequence, pull back to end of trend. So we had a little bit of just backwards and forwards. I think I was asleep, but this was before the FOMC kind of announcements. So that was what we were just, which is typical for an FOMC day. In terms of my trading, kind of got short first thing, pulled off 3/4 of the point, kind of going down, then got long and had to get out with a half-point loss, and then kind of got short again at 25. And then I was knackered. I've been staying up way too late, so I only took 2 points out of this short trade. And I could see, you could see, the pound had sold off, and all these other markets were selling off. It was likely to be a big day, but the market kind of slowed down. It was FOMC waiting for kind of more news announcements, and so I went back to bed. But then when I woke up for the last hour of the day, you could see that the market had sold off, and I got short again at this pullback level. So I was short at 11.75 and took out 3 points on the way down here. It was good for 4. It was good for, I think, almost 6 on the way down here. The markets on extreme days tends to close at the extreme, and so you can kind of play these range days, into the close on a decent pullback. And the 1500 had a decent pullback here. That was short covering rally as trailing stops were busted, and blue professional bar kind of comes in at pullback, and we kind of sell off to the end of the day. So that was for a nice 3 points. So I got 5.25 with 4 trades, and I was asleep for most of it, so I was quite happy with that. But anyway, that was the day that was. It's an important day, so I hope you traded it well. 11.75, short 11.75, and I normally don't do this kind of late in the day. We've had this kind of sell-off going on. I actually missed it, went back to bed, but anyway, I was out of the market at, what was I at 23. So come back to find we've kind of sold off. I should have known it because all the other markets were selling off. But extreme kind of trend days like today usually end up at the extremes, so closing on their almost absolute lows. And 1500 tip bar chart, we just had a pullback signal kind of go off. Blue professional bar kind of steps in, exhaustion buying. This was just a little bit of a short covering rally, kind of triggering all of the trailing stops that were trailing this market down. So we kind of got rid of those. And what I'm hoping for is certainly a pullback to end of trend, but breaking to new lows. The low down here is 975, so again, we could run some stops kind of down there. But what is it, 242? So we've got 30 odd minutes to run, just seeing if we can pick off a little bit. Okay, blue professional down bar, not necessarily good, but let's see where this pullback to end of trend goes. So short 1175. Just a minute later, we just had a blue professional bar and support coming on 500. We kind of raced up a couple of blue professional up bars here, but they could easily just be using that little retrace to kind of get short, break down below the lows of that into 10s. Will be the go, be the signal. Here we go. So all right, so break below support on 500, take us another trend move on the way down. We've had this exhaustion buying, so come on, let's break to new lows. Here we go. That was blue professional down bar through support. That's falling through the ice. Got blue professional bar kind of following it up now. We're through the lows of that little retrace sequence. 975 is this kind of previous low, so we'll kind of get interesting around there. So we're at 10s, so just a 1/4 point off it, looking for 775. Again, pull back to end of trend. So come on, we'll touch it. We could get a little bit of a technical bounce with a kind of like a double bottom going off there, or all of a sudden we could just trigger some stops and just run it hard. So let's wait and see. Yeah, technical bounce now happening. That was 10 even, so blue professional bar coming lows, exhaustion selling. I don't know, maybe they're trying to pick it up as a pullback to end of trend at that 10 as a double bottom here, kind of back up. So let's give it a while. Got to see. The last exhaustion selling that we had on 1500 was getting this move going. All these patterns were just playing off that. The last time we had exhaustion buying was just short covering rally triggering those stops. So we've still got some time to run on 1500. So let's be patient. Coming back at it again. Here we go. Just broke it. I know we've had all these blue professional bars kind of come in. It's the end of the day. We've got one on 4500, but we're below support here on 500. Could run pullback to end of trend. This is running pullback to end of trend. We've got this cyclical in due. I don't know, was that it? We just broke to fractionally kind of new lows, and then a little bit of a double bottom. That didn't run a whole bunch of stops there. I'm inclined to hold until the close or my target. It's minus 7,000. Another blue professional bar 4,500. But this is in the wrong place. This is in the wrong place. to end this move, we need something on the left shoulder, something like that on the left shoulder. This is too early. This is just short covering rally. We keep on going down. Here we go, 9.5. Come on, let's go again. Because again, in that little move, there was quite a lot of buying or stop spring run. Let's just keep holding. 253. Go. I know there's a whole bunch of blue professional bars kind of coming out of these lows. We're playing right at the end of the day, 2:55 p.m. Chicago. We're at 9, but again, trend days tend to close on the extremes. So come on, give me a little bit more. 775 is all I need, and we got to see pullback to end of trend now on 500. We've travelled that far past support here. We've got this swinging around. The energy will swing around into a pullback to end of trends shortly. So come on, keep going. Jittery, couple of minutes before 3, so that's why it's kind of just kind of whatever, these are arbitrage players or whatever, kind of just closing positions. All these blue professional bars kind of come in and out. End of trend's gone off on 1500. Still not seeing that exhaustion selling, and we've got to make pullback to end of trend. We've got this kind of cyclical turn in kind of due. Blue professional up bars, but directionally at the end of the day, can't really tell what the professionals are doing with the mostly closing out positions, I thought. But come on, just do me a favour. I'm in at 1175, so I'm not taking too much risk here. Could easily jump out with 2, but here we go, pullbacks in. So let's see where this runs. Here we go, jittery. 875 just for 3, and the reason pulling out there, we've just had 2 end of trends go off. All these blue professional bars kind of come in. It does tend to end on the extremes. It looks like we might kind of just punch through here and hit 775, but that's enough for me. It's a little bit kind of jittery at the end of the day here, so good. Glad I did that re-entry. That was what I was looking for. Pullback to end of trend, just see kind of where that went. So another 3, so 5.25 for the day after 4 trades. Anyway, I hope you traded well. Final video. Market's just shut, and there we go. 6.5 I think was the low down here. So the 775 would have got hit if I'd had the nerve to hold it. And actually, on trending days like this, we close at the extremes. So we closed within a half point of the absolute low of the day. So lesson learned. But if you want to sit through that kind of rocky road at the end of it, anyway, quite happy with my 3.